Welcome back to Vader's Lair. It's your boy Sheev the Wise. I'm here with Star Wars Obsession, good friend of the channel. If you guys don't know him and Xwing, you gotta check out the Boomer Council. Those dudes are freaking fire. I love your guys' streams. How you doing, man?
Good, man. We get it. We have some fun. It's a good time. It's a good time.
Oh,
We
you could say that.
we try not we try not to take things too seriously. We have a
Of
good time.
course.
So
I mean,
uh
I like to take things too serious here, but it's never in a bad way. It's always fun.
yeah, well, I don't take things too serious, but yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I get loud a little bit. I can't lie. I get a little loud, crazy, and have fun.
Don't we all though? Don't we all? So, what have you been thinking of the series so far? I know you. We were talking a little bit right before this. You said you're not a hater. Of course
No,
you're
yeah,
not.
man.
But how
I
you
mean,
feeling about it?
I see, and I feel like John and Dave have been doing work, right? Like this is something that Dave has been working on since Clone Wars. This is arc stuff that him and George put together years ago when they were designing that stuff. And this is his opportunity now that he's the guy in the chair, man. He's the boss now. And now that he's the boss, he
Yes.
can be like, all right, cool. So the sequels are like 30 years down the road. We're gonna focus on this like 10 years right here. Let's go. And so he does that. And he's
Yup.
Favreau wrote an interesting script and an interesting show.
Yeah,
But
to say the least, right?
and there's some detours, but I feel like there's a lot of nostalgia in this show.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of fan service for everybody, not just for the hardcore Boba Fett people or for the people that
Yeah, dude. I mean,
it's
the fact they took the Parks and Recs like little skit and actually made it how Boba gets out of the Sarlacc, like
yeah, and that and I
I
mean,
know as small as a thing that is, it's hilarious though, and like to your point, like maybe no one's really thinking about that except maybe some of us hardcore people, but like
yeah, yeah, for
it's
sure. I
it's
mean,
the
this whole
little
show,
things though that like you know it is still there for the hardcore people, and
yeah,
yet it's digestible for the newer people as well.
yeah, yeah. There's some galaxies characters, the modders. That's a
Yeah,
tribute to them. We're getting a lot of this old Tatooine lore that I feel like could potentially come back into a series of some kind later.
yeah.
There's just there's a lot of deep diving here, and if you don't know, I mean, look, dude, I'm disappointed in some stuff,
Oh
right? Like
yeah.
there's some,
If you get nitpicky, you can definitely find something wrong with anything.
well, I mean, they totally did all, like, I don't want to be vulgar, but they totally like crapped all over all of my ideas. I'm like, I don't want to see Luke and Ahsoka, boom, they're
Yeah,
together.
I told you. Well, okay, I didn't expect that yet. That came out of nowhere. And the
Yeah,
fact that they met already, that kind of I was like, "Bruh."
yeah. It's just there's a lot of but again, that's just good writing by Dave. He's like, oh, you don't know what's coming when, right? Or not even
That's
Dave,
definitely
that's John.
true.
John and Dave
Both
are
of
sitting
them.
there in the lab, in the room with the big, I mean, they must have a room that's white with markers and like Sharpies, that certain
And
stuff's
they're
in
just
Sharpie.
writing all
And
over the room.
yeah, and certain stuff's in Sharpie because this can't change, and then certain stuff's in erasable, so you can like scratch it off. Oh, like, let's rewrite that part,
Oh,
but
the scoopers are catching on.
yeah, there's definitely a plan, and to think that they're giving us these things that they knew people weren't going to like. There's a lot of this
Yeah,
that they knew, but how did Tony Soprano build his empire? Right, it wasn't
exactly.
overnight, bro.
No,
You gotta get chess pieces in play. So for me, this show is great writing. It's great story building more than anything,
definitely.
right?
Yeah.
When have they given us everything right out of the gate?
Never.
Right? I
And
mean,
people
nobody really liked Mandalorian until Luke showed up, and then they're like, "Oh my god, this is the greatest Star Wars we've
what
ever seen."
or they just loved Grogu, they're like,
Right.
"Oh, a baby Yoda." Yeah.
And there's a bunch of them, dude. And there's a bunch of people that are like, "Yeah, I'm in it for the little dude." Like like, I'm here for the little guy, right?
Yeah, trust.
So yeah,
I definitely have heard that.
I got some friends. They're like, "Oh my god, that Grogu is just the cutest thing ever. I could just eat his little face." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay, cool. I'll make some merch."
So I gotta ask you, with the resurgence of Cad Bane, I thought it was an epic moment. I thought he looked fantastic. I want to know your thoughts on how he looked, but past that, do you think it's possible he could have been the one that killed the Tusken Raiders? And do you kind of know where I'm going at with that?
Yeah, I could totally see. I mean, if he's already in bed with the Pikes now, and that was at the end of Boba's run with the Pikes, so that was pretty recent
Yeah,
in history. I could totally see that being a thing. And you know, I mean, as far as the way he looked, I felt they did a great service.
I thought so too.
I love King James 74's last comment. I was just in that same stream and I was like, yeah, that's crazy. The chat. But yeah,
Okay, yeah,
Cad Bane, I thought it looked good, man. I mean, you got to remember
yeah.
this, he's an old man at this,
71.
right? He's late 60s, early 70s. He's an old ass man. I mean, look, I'm assuming you're spry. You're in your 20s, right? Your late 20s.
Early 20s. I'm
Okay,
20, about
solid.
to be 23.
Okay, cool. So you're in your early 20s. Great. I was just
Yeah.
being generous. Young people don't want to be called old, and old people don't want to be called young. So I am on the other side of 40 now, and I could tell you that I looked fantastic in my 20s. And so a young Cad Bane, which is what we get in Rebels, a younger Cad Bane, and then in Rebels and in Clone Wars,
Yeah,
that is not the Cad Bane, just like that is not the Boba that
exactly.
was the young Boba Fett that everybody, younger Boba Fett. So, these guys are old, and he's going to pick up some weight. His race does get lighter complexion when they
Yes.
age. And how long has he been in the Tatooine? The Twin Sons. I mean, look what it
We don't
did to
know,
Kenobi,
right?
bro. Look what it did to Kenobi. He
Yeah,
was,
right.
you know, um,
We know he's probably been there since probably since killed the Tuskens, I think. But he's been watching Boba Cobb Vanth. He knew Cobb Vanth had the armor at some point, so he's definitely been there for a while watching. And I definitely like that, to your point. And yeah, he's 71 years old. He's gotten a little wear and tear,
but
and
he's
I
still
like,
fast,
yeah, oh, fast
bro.
as ever.
Like
As
he
fast as Cobb Vanth was, like putting two bullets or two dudes, one stone kind of thing.
Well, and here's my thing. Like I've been saying this for a long time, right? Like if the way George Lucas wrote this poetry that he writes, right,
Yeah,
is that there's always three things going on in his movies, right? There's always a western of some kind, right?
yeah,
Guns and saddles, whether it's ship, and then you got a ship battle in the air, whether it's space or in atmosphere, and then you always have some kind of lightsaber, right?
of course.
And so these three elements are very, um the western is the Mandalorians, the bounty hunters. That's very western. Those are very cowboy, right? Then
Yeah,
you have the Jedi that are very space wizard, right? Monk police, if you will. And um
well said.
and here and here we have a western, right? And he is still the old, I didn't even think about this the other day, until the other day. He's a lefty. I never even It never even crossed my mind he's a
That's a deep
left,
cut.
right? Like I didn't even think
Maybe
about,
that's why he's so fast.
right? Well, I mean, lefties are not, I mean, in Gunslinger, right? Like lefties are the oddballs, right? You're shooting from the wrong side, you're turning the wrong way. It's a whole weird thing when you're, you know, I
Interesting.
I like westerns. Like one of my favorite westerns is Tombstone. And for me, Boba Boba and even Cad Bane, they're very Doc Holliday, right? They're very Ringo. They're very like, oh, you want to dance? I'll dance. Like,
Yeah,
let's dance,
they're
right?
the baddest in the town.
Right. And so for me, this is the perfect example of I'm old, but I'm not dead,
Yeah.
right? So for me, it's like I thought it was poetic that he took down Cobb Vanth and killed the little dude because he and the only reason he killed him is because he shouldn't have been there in the first place.
He was talking smack too.
No, not even that. Forget the talking smack.
I mean,
This is a duel. This is mano on mano in the street, right? Like you got gunned down and dead because you got involved in like a
yeah.
two-person affair.
But that's what I mean. He butted in, and as soon as he did, Cobb Vanth was looking at him like, "What the hell are you doing?"
Well, and he cost him the duel ultimately.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, he
because he's
did.
looking at him instead of looking at him, and it's
Yeah, and
just
he's pulling out his gun already, trying to be the hero.
it's just all bad. So yeah, I mean, I feel like there was definitely an opportunity for them to show how badass he
Yeah.
was, right? And it's still at that old age. So
Mike Porter, I look good at 25.
hey bro, we
When
all
I was,
looked at it 25, man.
yeah, yeah, dude, definitely.
But to the earlier question, I think they did his eyes a great service. His eyes looked dope. His teeth
Yeah,
were gnarly. Like
dude.
his teeth gave little kids nightmares, right?
Yeah, I don't even remember if I ever noticed that about the character. I mean, I saw a picture of him in Bad Batch, and I was like, wow, he's already had these like crazy teeth. And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
Dave Filoni's old sketches, like it is so clear those teeth are like gnarly as hell.
Yeah, yeah. He's definitely I thought he looked great. I mean, I know there's a lot of
Yeah,
people that are like, "Oh, they fixed him." Look, he's older now than he was during Rebels. There's a lot of years that have gone by. The entire Empire reign, you
yeah.
know, the
I
back half
love
of it.
that. I love that he's opposed to the Empire too. Because
Well, I mean, he's a hypocrite though. I mean, he worked a little bit for them before they were the Empire, and he knew
oh, he
who was
didn't know
who and
that.
what and what. He
I
knew
mean, he
come on. He knew Palpatine was, and then he took out. Come on,
he's
timing is
the
convenient.
the
Yeah.
reasoning I got from Star Wars Meg was that basically he didn't want to work with Darth Vader more so than anything, because if you think back to like Lando and Empire Strikes Back, he's like, this deal is changing all the time," kind of thing. So
Right.
there were too many consequences to working with Vader.
Fair,
So
fair. But I think that I do think that they did him a great service. I feel like
yeah.
Cad Bane looked awesome.
Oh
I feel
shit.
like the way that he talked to I sent him a link. There he is.
What's up, Xwing?
It's a little bright in here, boy.
Focus, man. Focus.
Ooh.
Oh man, now I'm in the spotlight. I don't know how to use this.
There
There
you
we
go.
go.
That's a better angle anyway. It gives you the full room.
Howdy,
Yeah.
boys.
But yeah, I mean, I feel like they did Cad Bane a great service. I wish we would have seen the flashback first. But I think I'm still hopeful we'll get it, because I feel like
Hey.
this has to be the second meeting.
Yes. Yes. I mean, we know it happened from Bad Batch and everything, with the whole dent in his head. I definitely think we have to see flashbacks to it. I mean, I've been calling it since basically my channel started. But
Yeah.
X-Wing, how you feeling about the show so far?
Took a big turn right around number 5, right?
Yeah, I knew it would for you.
Yeah, I think a lot of the old salties were a little happier with 5 and 6, but now the inevitable question: what are they going to do to wrap it up in 7? I'm looking towards the future right now. So
I hear that. I hear that. What are you expecting for the finale, or what do you want to see?
I almost don't even want to
Oh, bro.
theorize, because I feel like as soon as we get there, we're
We
gonna
have
be
no
like,
clue.
"Wow, I was way
Bro,
off, man."
Bro,
Yeah.
I was telling him like 10 minutes ago before you got here. Everything I set up is like, hiya, ninja,
Mhm.
hiya. It's
Yeah.
like, bro, they cut off every theory I've had in the long game. Like, oh, Luke and Ahsoka, hiya. There it is.
Yeah.
Boom, on the table. They're already friends, hanging out on the same planet. Like, what? What?
Boom.
I can't even do it here because we're
They
on.
took a couple turns for sure, which I'm fine with. I mean, there are definitely some things that Obsession and I agreed on for sure when it was stuff that we wanted to see in terms of impactful scenes that I think they kind of shortcutted and we didn't get them right off the bat, or they didn't
Yeah.
save them. But, like you guys were saying, not to say that we won't get them at some point, but it would have been nice if it was that first one.
Yeah, it definitely would have. It would have. I'm still waiting for it. I hope we get the flashbacks to, their first meeting and everything. I don't know.
It would
I
be
feel you
nice.
guys on that because I wanted to see that more than anything. And then I on my reaction and everything, I was like,
You
they
got to
already
show
met?
hate,
Like, what the?
right? If he's gonna come out and be like Boba Fett is a stone cold killer and like talk about
Yeah.
him in they're both bounty
Yes.
hunters, they're both killers. I don't want to hear that from Cad Bane. Come on.
Oh, yeah.
But they're both stone cold killers. I say scoundrels, but um they, one decided to work for the Empire, one didn't, but the disdain for him is more than anything. Like he could have said that in the normal voice, but he went full like hate on that sentence. And
Yeah,
that just shows they've had interactions, they've met before. There's some real hate for one another.
definitely.
I gotta see it.
Yeah. I
I just
mean,
thought it
they
was funny. He contradicted himself. I don't know about contradicted, but he was like, Boba Fett was a cold-blooded killer. And then 2 seconds later, he's like, "Gra-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta," just
yeah.
shooting up the town. Like, oh, what,
Right
what do you
before that
want?
too.
Yeah,
Right
come
before
on,
that,
man.
he's like, you should like watch where you're putting your nose and everything. And then he's
Yeah.
like, Boba Fett's a cold-blooded killer. It's like,
Well, I mean,
well,
and
what the hell? You are
I
too.
I feel like, yeah, I mean, but I feel like he's more saying that he worked for the Empire and that he was, he had no honor amongst, I think that's more of where it went to. He looked at working for the Empire as not having honor, I guess. And that's kind of how I looked at that statement. It was like, oh, you really hate him for
Yeah.
working for the Empire. It's not, yeah, I mean, you guys obviously worked against each other at some point, but man, you really have some disdain. So I would like to see that scene.
Yeah, for sure. So one of the other thing that's kind of been in the news lately is the Andor show. I don't know if you guys have heard
Mm-hmm.
too much about kind of the rumors, but at one point we had heard it was going to be 12 episodes, and then there were rumors within the past month or so that it was going to be split into 2 seasons, and they were going to be 6 episodes each, and they were kind of just splitting that first season. And then now again recently there's been updated reports that that wasn't true and that it's going to be 1 season of 12 episodes, and that's coming this year still. What do you guys think? Is it
I
going to be
think,
12 or?
dude, everybody's hyped up on Mandalorian, and I'm stoked on it. I think Ahsoka is going to be awesome, but I think Andor is going to be the OT trilogy fan show, 100%. Everything that we want as OT fans is Andor is going to be the show that we're going to get it. At this point, I don't care if it's 6, I don't care if it's 12, I don't care if it's 42 or 3. Like, I'm just so hyped up for it. I and it's so funny because when I first heard a Cassian Andor show, I'm like,
Who wants that?
I don't want that, man.
It's like
And then,
getting Solo all over it.
yeah, I don't really want that. And then the more I thought about it, and the more I think about how Rogue One came through and kind of that gritty era of the Galactic Civil War, and all of the major power players that were involved in that, the more I'm like, dude, we're gonna be getting like Echo Base vibes. Like it's gonna feel like the OT because it's gonna be in the OT. So I'm
Yeah,
100% down for it. I think it's gonna be amazing, and I can't wait to see what the prequel equivalent of that is gonna be.
facts. What are you thinking though, Obsession? I know you try to stay away from leaks for Kenobi at least, but
Oh yeah, I'm trying to stay away from that. Like I can't even talk about it. But
no, yeah,
I
we
feel
won't
like
get into it.
I
Don't
feel
worry.
like Andor is a secret sleeper. I feel
Yeah,
like
definitely.
like every other show has its own hype built in, right? And this is a rare opportunity for them to do some original story building in a time where they don't have very many restrictions with this, right? They can do whatever they want.
Yeah,
They're limited with Boba, they're limited with Mando, they're limited with Ahsoka. They have limitations with everybody, but this show is wide open, right?
yeah. They could
And
literally put anybody in that time
I mean,
period in.
as long as I get a Babu Frick, I don't give a shit, right?
Hell yeah.
Right? Like I want to see
What
the
the
gang,
hell?
right? I want to
That's
see the gang, right?
fantastic.
I want to see him and his homegirl from back in the day. Like they were talking about all the stuff they used to do.
Hey.
I want to see that. I want to see that scoundrel. That group of scoundrels running around. messing things up and doing you know, doing some underground.
That's good. That's good.
Doing some underground, show us some of that gritty underground. I mean, that's the stuff people are loving about Mando.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that, and I think the Mandalorian backstory, I think, other than, of course, again, Grogu being the cash cow and everything.
Well, here's how it is in my mind for that. Grogu, okay, so Mandalorian, Din Djarin, Bo-Katan, Boba Fett, the Armorer, Paz Vizsla, all of this Mandalorian lore right now is for us, right? That's for the sweaties. That's
the
for
sweats.
That's for the nerds and the YouTubers and the people that are like, they're giving us something that we've always really wanted, because the Mandalorians have been super intriguing even back in the day, right? But there was no real backstory in canon, right? There were stories here, there were stories there. They did a little bit in Rebels, they did a little bit in Clone Wars, but that was really it. Now we get legit lore, right? We're getting it all in canon. We're getting it on screen in live action. And so that is for us. Yeah. Grogu is for the Muggles. Grogu is bringing the Muggles in because they're like, oh my God, he's so cute.
Well, that's the gateway, right? It's the it's the gateway
Trojan
drug.
horse.
Yeah, he's the Trojan horse. Yeah.
He is.
Okay, bye.
I mean, look, how cute is that little thing?
Oh my God.
Bro, how cute is he?
Take my money.
It's ridiculous how cute this thing is. And I know, right? You're adorable. But it's literally that's the Trojan horse. That's what's bringing in all the normies.
It is.
Right? That's what's bringing in all the kids and all the moms. Okay, dude, you got to go to sleep. I can't.
Good night, Grogu.
He's got to go to sleep. He'll go to sleep and he'll shut up soon. He'll start snoring and then boom, he's out. But yeah,
like real child. Wow.
That Grogu is to bring in all the kids and all the moms and all the toys and all the sales. But the Mandalorian stuff, the Darksaber, all that's for us.
Oh yeah, of course.
Right. So they did a really good job of writing a character that is absolutely lovable, but yet hits the nostalgia heartstrings of people like us that are like, these people have no idea that that's just a little Yoda, and we've never got to see Yoda when he was little like that, and this is out of control. I can't right now. Right. So even listening to Luke talk to him and tell him, well, this is how Yoda used to speak. This is how the other one of your kind used to speak.
Yeah, that was funny.
Hilarious, because I just want him to be like, that ain't me.
He's like, I don't know what was up with him. He was messing with you guys.
He
maybe got hit in the head way too hard when he was sparring when he was young, and that's why he talks all stupid.
Well, I've always liked the theory. I've always liked the theory that he like made a bet or like, just like started playing a joke, because like, I mean, the dude lived for 900 years. At some point, like, I don't know, either life gets boring or you're just like, well,
the last 100 years, he was just like, all right, I'm going to start talking like this. And eventually everybody that knows I can talk normal is going to die.
Yeah, exactly.
Me, right? And
it's like
he's just messing with
people. You and Santa making bets.
Yeah,
Yaddle's in the council talking normal. He's like, nope, you're banned.
Yeah, you know what? You need to go do something else. Bro. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, even the Darksaber, just like Mike's saying, the Darksaber is absolutely, I mean, and if you get your hands on one, even the Galaxy, the black, whether it's the Galaxy's Edge, I mean, yeah, I got mine. It feels heavy.
Oh, it does.
It feels good. Like you're like, oh, I could hit somebody
like a real katana,
and they would go down. Like this thing's got weight. So I feel like everything, they just, this whole show, this whole Dave, and this is Dave's era. I feel like that's the biggest thing that people forget is the Mandalorian is the start of the era of Dave Filoni. Jon Favreau's on board. He's writing the pilot, right? But this is the era of Dave Filoni because he's now, look at what happened to Pablo, right? Like once Dave came in,
what happened to Pablo?
Sit down on the pine pony, buddy, and earn your paycheck until your contract's up, right? say anything and we'll get rid of you. And this
we
is,
don't know what's up with that unless you know something that we don't. But
I mean,
Look, Pablo and I talk a lot. Okay.
me and Dave had dinner last week, and he told me what
he was just saying
Oh,
he's
man.
trying to punk the boys.
that John
you know what
Favreau
I'm
guy,
saying?
he's the best. I love having
John's
lunch
okay.
with him.
He's all right.
Well, but I guess, and for me, that's just the thing is like, look, this is the era of Dave, right? Dave took over. Dave started Clone Wars 7. That's when Dave's era started for me.
This is
right?
the era of John,
See,
my guy.
For me, it starts with
Oh.
Rebels, and that was the first thing that came out with Disney.
Well,
So-
I mean, yeah, but Dave wasn't, and yeah, Dave was in charge of that show while they were off doing the sequels. So fair enough. I'll kick it off there. Absolutely. But it's still the
Yeah.
era of Dave because a lot of
Yeah,
these
yeah,
story
of
arcs
course.
were built before John Favreau was even doing Disney but Lucas. He was
He's
over.
just writing it.
He was over at Marvel. He
Well,
was
I
only
know, but
coming over to voice act.
he's credited as writer though, so I'm saying like he's the story. Maybe there was like a board, and he just wrote the beats to it because he is credited as writer.
Rebels?
So. No, sorry, my bad. I'm talking about
No,
Mandalorian.
but I'm
stuff
talking
now.
about Rebels. Like
For Rebels,
set-
yes, the
Rebels
first.
set the arc for almost
Yes.
everything that's
Yeah,
happening
yeah, yeah.
in the
of
Star
course.
Wars universe right now. And John came in after Dave had already started making this amazing content with George. And then boom, Rebels steps in and Disney buys and George leaves and Dave has to make this whole show on his own. And then
Yeah,
he finally gets it the big promotion
with
and
a lower budget.
and him and John are like, hey dude, you want to make some crazy shit? Because I'm in charge now. You want to make some crazy shit? Let's make some crazy shit. And they did. And they did.
That they did. Man, the shock on my soul seeing Baby Yoda that first episode of The Mandalorian is not like anything else.
Bro,
That was a moment. That was a moment for sure. That was not something I expected at all. I remember
no.
when I first heard about The Mandalorian, I'm like, bro, that sounds boring.
yeah,
I'm like, dude,
like
I'm not even trying to watch that. Like, I was still like mega salty about the sequels. I'm like, I don't want to watch any of this. This is dumb.
yes, you're preaching what I'm talking about because that's exactly what I'm talking. That's how everybody felt. They're like, oh, this Mandalorian thing's gonna suck.
I mean, there were
Dude,
a few of
second
us.
I saw that monster come out of the ice and grab onto that freaking fire spray.
That was dope.
Oh my god, I just said fire spray.
Oh my god.
Ah!
The Razor Crest. The Razor Crest.
You know what the worst part is? I have a $350 Razor Crest that's coming at me, and I still called it that.
I gotta build it, but it's a Razor Crest.
See,
But the
my
second
car,
I saw that monster grab it and he hit him with that freaking rifle, I'm like, this is different. Something's different.
Watching
Yeah.
that intro scene when he walks in Clint Eastwood style and is like, I could take you in warm, or I could take you in cold. Everybody,
Perfection.
like, if that sent chills down everybody's spine, right? And then he just levels the whole house, puts this dude in carbonite, and right then, as soon as he put him in carbonite, every single Star Wars fan was like, holy shit, this is legit, right? Like every Star Wars fan
Yes.
across the world was like, yo, does he have a carbon freezing chamber in his he's got a solid, right? Like everybody lost their goddamn minds, and that started the show,
Yup.
right?
Trust
And
me,
I'm
man.
telling you, Dave got control. They gave Dave the keys to the Lamborghini. And he
Well, that's
goes,
what I'm saying. To your
goes-
point of saying everyone felt like Xwing, there were a few of us who caught on to Rebels during its run, knew who Dave Filoni was from Clone Wars and Rebels, and were like, "Oh, you're telling me he's paired up with Jon Favreau?"
Even then, I didn't like.
Oh no, dude!
I wasn't even about.
I
it.
was so
see,
excited for it.
I was as soon as I heard that Pre Vizsla was coming to direct and write, like the dude that made Marvel movies, what they are today. When
the
I
guy
found
that
out, I
started
was
it.
super pumped, and that's what I'm saying is like people give Jon Favreau the flag on the hill. They're like, John is the turning point. People
He's
forget
writing this stuff,
but
dude.
people forget that all of these arcs were set up during Rebels when Dave was rolling solo, right? All this Mandalorian lore shit that we're getting right now was Dave rolling solo while Jon Favreau was still making Iron Mans.
This is
right?
true.
So
this is true.
Dave is just coming in and putting the
I'm
exclamation
never gonna live
point,
that down, dude.
right? John is coming in and putting the exclamation point on what Dave built 5 years ago,
Yeah.
right?
He's still salty about that.
And I'm sorry, but like I love Jon Favreau. Jon Favreau
Me
changed
too.
movie making multiple times already,
Oh,
right?
oh, dude. I mean, regardless of the fact that this is all really Filoni's baby, and I know for a fact, like, the two of them together is definitely making some
Oh.
super magic, but super credits to John for. I mean, he literally is now kickstarting both Marvel and the
Oh, no,
resurgence of Star Wars.
Bro,
So,
he's the hold my beer guy,
oh yeah,
right?
oh yeah,
You can't make a good Christmas movie. Hold my beer. I'm gonna go get Will Ferrell. We're gonna make Elf, right? You can't make a good cooking show. Hold my beer. I'm gonna go make Chef, right? You
yeah.
can't make a good Marvel movie. They suck from the comics. Hold my beer. I'm gonna make Iron Man, right?
Yeah.
And then they
You're
said,
just gonna discount freaking Spider-Man? Like
no,
Well, he
no, I'm not. But those comic books,
they didn't suck.
they weren't
Sir.
what
No,
Iron
no,
Man
no.
was, right?
And
The
And I
Hulk
will
movies,
die
the
on that hill, okay?
early
You
Hulk
need to sit
movies-
down and you need to listen to me right now, okay?
hey, Dark Knight came out that year too. So
Those
I mean,
early Hulk movies, though, bro,
Yeah,
those,
they were
those were
they
painful,
were.
right? Those were painful.
I like the
Edward
the
Norton
Incredible-
Jr.
yeah,
as the Hulk
yes.
was,
It was great.
painful.
It was
It was
great,
good. It was
but
good.
the you're going to I'm gonna turn into the bigger Hulk, and then I'm the bigger Hulk. And like, come on, bro, like those were not great movies, right? They were not great adaptations of the Hulk. Then comes in Jon Favreau and makes Iron Man, and now the Hulk is freaking awesome, right? All of the Avengers, all that stuff comes to fruition, and then he's like, I'm bored with Marvel. Hey, Dave, can I get play on Star Wars? And he's like, yeah, bro, I got the keys to the Ferrari now. Let's go. Get in. Let's go do some donuts. And they've just been spinning in the parking lot, having fun wheeze the
Ever
whole
since.
Yeah, bro. This is all day. I love Jon Favreau. This is all Dave Filoni.
Yeah. So Tim brings up Robert Rodriguez here, and I want to ask you guys a question. With he directed episodes 1 and 3, I believe, and those were kind of some of the weaker ones. Are we feeling, how are we feeling about him directing the finale?
Bro, I have said since before this show started, when I saw the Boba Fett episode in Mandalorian, I'm like, there's a problem here. I don't know what it is, but there's a problem. Something smells weird. And everybody's
Ooh.
like, bruh, are you telling me you didn't like that? You didn't like that Boba Fett, bruh? Are you kidding me, bro? You're not a Star Wars fan, bruh. I'm like, are you kidding? There were issues. I brud so much it turned off my clapper. Hold on. The problem was he had some inconsistencies in the episode and the pacing and the shots and everything. It was a filmmaker nitpick that I had with it. Okay. Now we move in to the Book of Boba Fett and everybody's like, yo, Bobby Rod's about to blow my brains out, my guy. Like, I'm so excited. And I'm like, I have a lot of concerns about him. I have concerns about how he shoots things, blah, blah, blah. He's really good at campy action films. Like Bobby Rod is your campy action film guy. Okay. I feel like we've gotten a lot of campy action stuff with Boba that he wasn't even really heading off, by the way. It was his counterpart that was doing all the heading off of the action. Now we've gotten the old homies back that we love from The Mandalorian. We saw some beautiful scenes with Luke. We got all this stuff, and now we're headed back into the finale, and I am scared as hell that 7 is just going to be cameos and bad storytelling. And we're going to end this thing in just a effing freaking plane crash.
Nah.
I'm super scared of it.
I'll tell you
I hope
this.
I'm wrong.
If
I'm going to tell you this, Sheev.
to,
I hope I'm wrong, but I'm scared.
I hope you are too. But in his defense, I'll tell you this. Mandalorian season 2, first of all, Mandalorian season 1, Jon Favreau did not direct any of the episodes. He let everybody else direct it and just wrote the stuff. Season 2, he directed the first episode, which, although it was long and a very fun episode, I think that was a very wise choice. And I think the rest of the season, he didn't direct any of the episodes. But I think that first episode compared to the rest of the season, as epic as it was, setting up Boba Fett and all that stuff, it was a little bit weaker, other than Frog Lady episode maybe, than most of the season. But because of the directing, I think, of Jon Favreau in that episode, it was able to, level it up a little bit. And in my opinion, it is better because of that. But you think back to that and how some of the weaker episodes were given to stronger directors, or like when you think of the episode with Bill Burr, that guy that directed that episode, that was a hard episode to direct, and I think between him and the actors and everything, they
Was that
pulled
a
it off
Peyton Reed
beautifully.
episode? I thought he did that one and then the finale.
It was the other dude.
That
Peyton
wasn't
Reed did
Takis,
the
was it?
Frog Lady.
That wasn't
Oh,
Takis.
Peyton did Frog Lady?
Peyton
No.
did Frog Lady.
Bryce did
Interesting.
Frog Lady.
No, Bryce did Bo-Katan.
Yeah. Yes. Because
Oh,
we
and
actually
Frog
went
Lady-
over that
Frog
on
Lady was
one of
in
the other
Bo-Katan.
streams.
Yeah. At the end of it, at the beginning of it.
Yes.
Look, people weren't into the second season of Mandalorian until they saw Luke. There were a lot of people that
People
were
like the Ahsoka episode.
Yeah, I'm in the middle. So like this is an argument that's coming up. People are like, nobody liked the Mandalorian until we saw Luke in chapter 16. And I think there is some truth to that. But we got a lot of candy in that season too. We did get a lot of candy, and a lot of people were super pumped on seeing Ahsoka. A lot of people were super pumped on seeing Bo-Katan. We were stoked on what's the word I'm looking for? I mean, obviously Boba Fett.
Cameos?
Boba Fett back. Yeah, I mean, I don't. You feel like, man, that is a trigger word in the Star Wars universe right now.
Nah, I love cameo. I don't care. But so my whole point though on talking about like directing like stronger episodes or weaker episodes, I've had this theory throughout the season that Robert Rodriguez, as one of the showrunners, gave himself the challenge of doing two of the weaker or harder to direct episodes, because episodes 1 and 3, there's not as much to work with in those episodes, I think, compared to the rest of the season and what the other episodes bring to the table, which I still think he did a good job, other than of course Boba Fett getting his butt whooped by the stupid Red Shield gang and not using his jetpack or whatever. But I still have faith that he gave himself one of the stronger episodes in the back half of the season. And with this finale, he's going to have a lot to do, like a lot to bring to the table and a lot of action.
He's got a lot to atone for, though, right? Like a lot of the reason that this show is not doing well with the fandom and the critics and everybody is because he decided to go on a PR campaign on his own.
Talking about how awesome
this is going to be all killer, no filler. And it's like, I don't know if you watched the last 4 episodes and we're like, oh man, this shit's fire. And
that's what I was thinking. Like he just remembers the back 9. He just remembers the back 9. And he's like, bro, you guys are going to lose your minds. And we're all watching the front 9. Like,
if he would have just kept his mouth shut and let the PR department bring out trailers and have them do interviews and all this stuff, people's expectations wouldn't have been doubled. Right. But automatically, when he put that tweet out, everybody's like, oh my God, this is going to be the greatest thing we've ever seen in the entire universe. And it comes out flat. It doesn't come out flat. It comes out slowly inclining.
Yeah.
Right. But
bro, it's like putting the Stairmaster on 1 for an hour, and then in the last 30 minutes, you just take it up to 9 at like 60 miles an hour. You're like, let's go.
Who went out there and put this extra expectation on it that didn't need to be put out there.
Yeah. I mean, looking back, I don't know if he was wrong in saying it was all killer, no filler, but the way
if he would have been like, there's a bunch of filler in the beginning and then it's all killer, then we could have been like, cool, that's a good way to put it. But instead he's like, this is gonna be the greatest thing that has ever hit humanity.
I'm telling you right now, there's nobody better at Boba Fett than me. Okay,
this is gonna be huge.
My name is Robert Rodriguez. And nobody understands Boba Fett any better. Right. I'm the greatest. I'm the best.
And if he would have just let the PR campaign do their jobs, it would have been fine.
Yeah, and it's this whole thing where people are like, I hate it. I get it. I hate it when people, especially influential people in the Star Wars space, are like, temper your expectations. I'm like, bro, they told me what to think.
Yeah.
Okay? They told me what to think. And Obviously, any Star Wars project that comes out, I'm going to be sitting there like, I can't temper my expectations, man. Like, this
No,
stuff
you're
has to
telling me.
slap. It has
You're
to
telling
slap.
me. I'm out
Well,
here
but
making
look,
videos about Mace Windu coming back.
Look,
My
I
guy.
mean, I want Mace
Season two.
Windu to come back just in a different place and time. But who knows, man? Look, I put no predictions out there. Like tomorrow's stream is going to be real weird
It's hard
because
to right now.
it's like everything I put in the atmosphere, they're like, nope, no. I feel like a TikTok video, right? Nope, just smacking my ideas right out of the air. And you know, that's where we're at. And it's tough to even say, you know, going down even Star Wars Santa's a poll. It's hard to even go down that poll right now because everything you
I'm
think you
putting
know,
it off.
you don't know shit because Jon Favreau is a master of storytelling.
They're definitely good at surprising us. I don't know. They've done a great job of keeping the finales kind of a secret. Like when you think about although season 1 of Mando didn't have a post-credit scene, we were left off with the Darksaber and Moff Gideon. Season 2, we were left with the post-credit scene of Book of Boba Fett's coming. Like, and then of course Luke Skywalker and everything. And although like little thing, or I guess this wasn't little, but although Ahsoka may have leaked ahead of time and like different things like that, for the most part, I think they've done a pretty good job. Actually, the thing that's leaked most, I think, is Book of Boba Fett, but we still have no clue what's coming in the finale. Like, you know, we can speculate all day that Kira's coming, and yeah, there's little hints here and there that maybe she is, and we don't even know though, because the comics make it seem like Crimson Dawn is going to kind of fall apart at some point, and who knows if Kira's even alive at this point. I mean, we've heard rumors of Han Solo going to be in the finale, which I think honestly that could happen more than maybe even Kira could. But I think maybe the two go one and one kind of, you know, together. And then of course, you know, we had heard Cad Bane, that was confirmed. We had heard things like Luke Skywalker, Grogu, Mando, all that stuff ended up being in it. But then, like, you know, we have stuff like Bosk. Where the hell has Bosk been? We heard the whole bounty hunter lineup is going to be in it. Are they still going to be in the finale? Like, they've done a good job of keeping the back half of the series kind of.
Boy, they really don't have a lot of time to do all that, bro.
No, that's what I'm saying.
And if
unless it's 2 seasons, but
and if we get that Bosk scene,
what a letdown if that's 2 seasons.
If we get that Bosk scene, it's going to be it might be the duel, man.
How would you feel Xwing if it carries into? I'll get back into the duel, but how would you feel if it carries into Mando season 3?
You know, it's tough because I'm all about having the universe be fleshed out, right? Let's interconnect these stories to a degree. Do I want these characters to interact with each other? Yes, to a degree. But at a point, you're going to have to start and finish a story. I was going to say a word. You're going to have to start and finish a story. And I think something that people are really clamoring for right now is something with some resolution, if that makes sense. We need to have a story that starts and ends, because since Mando, we haven't really had something start and end. There's been no endings, right? And we can look back on the whole thing as a whole and be like,
yeah, Mando season 2 wrapped up in a real nice bow.
Yeah, but they just blew that out of the water.
Well, they can expand storytelling. I mean, there's more coming. I mean, that's the thing. They're not staying. Okay, that's over. Grogu's with Luke. Okay, let's put that in a box. They're trying to give you guys what you want. You want that Luke.
But what I'm saying is, like, first off, we all knew Grogu was going nowhere. We knew that was not the last time we were going to see Grogu. If they did that, I would have been shocked and been like, wow, like, way to leave us with holy, wow. We knew that's not what was going to happen. Bad Batch. I was hoping to see some kind of a resolution, then it ends and it's like, oh, well, see you guys next year. Ah! Like, they just keep it going. And like, if Boba Fett rolls into a season 2, it's like, man, you guys are just, let's do a little bit of wrapping up, if that makes sense. Like, I would love to have something wrap up, and it doesn't have to be Boba Fett dies. It doesn't have to be like Boba Fett's adventure is over, but let's wrap things up on Tatooine.
Well, okay, hold on. Time out. So you're telling me you want them to end shows. That's basically what you're telling me, because you want them to wrap up.
I would like to have a story
I get no more.
end. Yeah,
I get no more. So you want Mandalorian to be done at season 2, and then we get no more story.
no, that's not what I said.
Right? I mean, that's.
No.
But, I mean, you're like, no more Bad Batch. There's still story to tell there. There's still
100%.
stories.
Yes. What I'm
there's still
saying
story to
is, it
wrap-
would be nice to
he
have
wants
a
to have-
thread wrapped
yes.
up.
He wants to have
So-
a story that's like they're telling us we're gonna get that with Kenobi, first of all, because Kenobi is supposed to be the limited series and everything.
Right.
We haven't heard for sure if Boba Fett is a limited series, so who knows if there's gonna be a second season. Honestly, the way they kind of did the whole slow burn, whatever the hell the first 4 episodes were, it feels like they're gonna do a season 2. And then for Bad Batch, that was never going to be one season. Like, in my opinion, especially because animated show that Dave Filoni is loosely part of, like, they were not going to just do one season. I've always thought that was going to be a 4 or 5 season show.
Well, and they have a lot of story to tell there with,
yes,
especially
it's
with
a very
X-Men
interesting
in the
time period.
Mix. It puts people in certain places to give, and that's what I'm saying is, like, I understand you in particular, as somebody who has a background in storytelling, want things tied off. But right now they're in a building stage, so they have to build. Every show has to be a part of every other show's linear progression.
Yeah.
Right. So Bad Batch is building for Ahsoka. Right. That's the premise for me of a lot of that. You got the Martell sisters that are going to be a part of that show in some facet. They're part of her team, right? So I understand you don't like it, but get over it.
All I'm saying is Boba Fett doesn't need to end. That's not what I'm saying. Boba Fett doesn't need to die. We don't need to be like
a good story that starts and finishes.
Like, I guess Boba Fett's on Tatooine now, and that's the end of it. Like, that's not what I'm saying. But like, I would like it if Boba Fett, everything that's going on at Tatooine, wraps up and doesn't go into another season.
Way.
Yeah. Keep Boba Fett in the Mandoverse. Keep him involved with Mandalorian. Have him there moving forward. I'm super cool with that. But let's take this whole package that we've got, this kind of train ride up and down. It looks like a stonks graph. And let's just wrap it up in a nice little bow. And then we're going to wash our hands and not be like, well, now I got to wait another, 2 years to find out what happens with Boba Fett. I don't want that. I want some resolution.
Yeah.
Well, you are probably going to be disappointed.
Yeah.
So
at least with the finale.
yourself
well,
be disappointed.
I'm a Star Wars fan, dude.
They're not going to wrap that up.
They're not going to be able to wrap this whole season up nicely in a tight bow. It's definitely going to lead into future stuff, and I think that's honestly, at the end of the day, that's going to be what you want.
Ducky, shut your whore mouth.
The only way that this show wraps up, the only way this show wraps up in a nice clean bow is if everybody dies except for Boba and maybe Fennec, and they're like, well, Tatooine's not for us, and they start helping Bo and Mando with Mandalore. That's the only way this wraps up in any kind of clean bow.
Don't do that, Dave.
That's it. Aside from that, they lose. That's the only way this wraps up.
I hear you. Well, okay. I'm gonna spitball my theory of how I think this is going down. Bye, Xwing. Oh, there he is. I'm gonna spitball my theory real quick. So obviously, we were left with the decision for Grogu between chainmail and Yoda's lightsaber,
which is bullshit.
Okay, what's BS about it? Talk to me.
Only a Sith deals in absolute.
Don't steal that one. I'm gonna go tear the ears off a Gundar. So I'll return shortly.
That's how you're feeling about it.
Bro,
you don't like the.
That's such a. I mean, I'm sorry. He didn't get his first lightsaber. His first lightsaber was a gift.
Yeah.
He didn't earn that. He didn't earn nothing. Yeah. He did nothing. His first lightsaber was a gift from Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Obi-Wan, yeah.
His father's lightsaber, something that is sentimentally attached to him, right? That's bullshit right there.
So I have a question, though, because my whole thing on this has been, I think Luke wanted to give Grogu a choice. Thinking back in the Jedi's history, the Jedi freaking basically kidnapped little kids, or at least took in little kids because, you know, it was part of their religion, and the parents were somehow okay with it. I don't know exactly how that works. We see it in Star Wars before,
Well,
in
I mean,
Clone Wars and stuff,
become
but
a Jedi is a mythical thing. It's, you know,
yes, and it's maybe, you know, wanting a better life for your kid or whatever, but
yes, sure.
you know, technically the kids don't have a say in it. It's if they're a force sensitive being that fits the criteria, they're welcome into the order. They don't have a say in it. So Luke Skywalker had the decision on Tatooine. It wasn't like, even though he did.
Boba Fett took that decision away when he killed Aunt
Was it
Beru
Boba
with
Fett
Uncle
that
Owen.
killed him?
You know, I mean, let's be real here. Like,
that's okay. That is true that the decision eventually was taken out of his hands, but he wanted to be a Jedi. It's not like he didn't want a better life for himself to become a Jedi.
He didn't want to go necessarily. He was very torn on whether to go or not. And then
yes, and then the decision was made for him, but he wanted to.
Jedi like my father before me, right? So I get it, but at the same time, his lightsaber was a gift and a sentimental gift. So what if I got some chainmail from my adopted dad?
Yes, and I will be the first to say that I still don't understand the whole why they're so fixated on the attachment thing when literally Luke had attachments to, you know, Han and Leia and Empire and rushed off to go save them. So it's like, what the heck? But whatever with that, we'll throw it in the background and pretend like that didn't happen, right? So
I just feel like it's kind of a cheap move. Luke.
No, I get you. I mean, at the end of the day, my kind of headcanon is choosing to believe that it's because he's giving Grogu a choice and knows that he has that attachment to Din. So he's saying, look, if you want to become a Jedi, you have to be fully give yourself into it, to fully give yourself into the Force kind of thing. Whereas he's like, if you want to choose going with Mando, you can absolutely choose that decision. You don't have to become a Jedi. Especially with how the freaking Jedi ended. Like, it was literally their hubris and ignorance, let alone the fact the kid has PTSD from watching all his fellow Jedi die right in front of him.
Yeah, I agree. I just feel like it's kind of a cheap move in that attachment.
No, I get you.
Attachment is not necessarily forbidden. It's not letting go
fear
of your attachment.
Yes.
It's not willing to let go of that which you hold dear. Right?
Yes.
It's not the attachment of something or someone.
I wonder if Ahsoka is like poisoning his mind. Like, I don't mean that in like a mean way to her, but like
I think
she has
out of it. I think that's what we saw in that episode, right?
Yes, but as Dave Filoni said himself, he kind of looks up to her, and even in that moment, he's like, "What do I do?" And he asks her what he should do, and then she's like, "Follow your gut," which his gut apparently told him to give Grogu an ultimatum. But
that's Kenobi in her, right? Because that's what. That's the great thing about Ahsoka is she's so Anakin, but she's also so Kenobi, right? And that's a Kenobi move for Luke. That's like, follow your instinct, trust your gut, just same way you did when you shot that torpedo, right? Like, follow your gut, trust your instincts. That's exactly what Obi-Wan would tell her, or tell him. So it's not, she's doing exactly what she said she was going to do. She is not a Jedi. She is just there to help him keep everything safe until it's her time to go get Sabine, right? Until it's time to go find Ezra. So this is just a medium point for her to gather her forces and a safe place for her to start her journey in looking for Ezra. And maybe Luke's a part of that. Maybe feeling Ezra through the Force, she needs the Grand Master because she is no Jedi, right? And so that's, for me, that's kind of how I feel about this interaction is she doesn't want to teach. She's not going to stay there and teach because she's not a Jedi, right? He's the last Jedi. He's the one.
That's fair. I definitely hear that. So as we reach almost an hour here, I want to get your guys' thoughts on one other thing real quick. I want to know who you guys think saved Grogu in that Order 66 flashback, or at least give me some theories. Throw some theories out there.
Can I respond to somebody in your chat real quick, because they dropped it earlier. They dropped it earlier, but I didn't want to interrupt or anything like that. But Spider-Man hit it with the do you think these shows could do cameos better if they had a powerful threat to build to? They haven't had a clear-cut villain to really build. Yeah, so
that's a great question.
Yeah, it really is, and I think it's a question that a lot of fans are kind of looking at right now. Like, dude, who are we supposed to be mad at? You know,
everybody.
At best,
hey,
we got.
Yeah.
At best, we got a a bait and switch when it came to the Tuskans, saying that it was probably the Nikto gang, but it wasn't the Nikto gang. Oh, is it the Hutts? No, it's not the Hutts. Like, who's it gonna be? Is it the Pikes? I don't know. But even then,
maybe it's Cad Bane, as we talked about.
Maybe it's Cad Bane, maybe, but the Pikes are like a nameless, faceless organization. And that's why I think this whole thing is really building up to an end cutscene with Thrawn.
Could be.
Interesting. Yeah.
I mean,
I think a post-credit throwing Thrawn in there kind of really, it establishes, and I don't think that Thrawn has anything to do with the Nikto gang, with the Pikes, anything like that. It's completely different. But I'm saying when it comes to a vibe and being like, dude, who's the bad guy?
It's like that Marvel scene when Thanos was on the moon by himself, or you just saw Thanos' hand. It's a prelude to what's coming.
So on that thought, honestly, I still think it could be Kira, and it kind of makes more sense with the whole crime syndicate thing. However, I love your thoughts with Thrawn there, because my first thought when we saw the Night of 1,000 Tears and everything is that was probably Thrawn. I don't know if Moff Gideon did that by himself.
No.
Like that.
Oh, probably not.
Yeah. So I think it's possible Thrawn could have came back after episode 6, and that could have been when the Night of 1,000 Tears and everything kind of went down. So I love your thoughts of an end credits kind of thing with Thrawn being the big bad, because I do think he is eventually kind of being set up as the big bad of the Favroni universe, or whatever you want to call it. So,
and I think you guys are probably right when it comes to having a second season of Book of Boba Fett and Kira just being revealed at the end of the show as the baddie. 100%, I could totally see that happening. Would I be into that? Not really.
It feels like such a to your guys' point, like if that is how it is, and like we barely get any Kira, or they set up her as the big bad and everything, like it's gonna feel like such a slap in the face to have him say that it was all killer, no filler. Because like as much as we did, like as much as set up and like good story building as those first 4 kind of episodes did, like to give us just those, like that's the majority of the season right there. That's more than half the season. That's just setting up for the big bad at the end of the season 1. It's like,
yep, it's tough, dude. It's
so
a
in
tough
that aspect, I hear what Xwing's saying with
and to answer your question,
finish.
I still feel like R2 is a Grogu savior, with Anakin around the temple slashing younglings and handling business.
Well, so I talked to Star Wars Meg about this, and both of us love that theory, first of all. But we, for some reason, both of us remember R2 being with Padme during that kind of.
Well, but when the temple was burning, Padme was with 3PO, and we didn't see R2 there.
Okay, fair enough.
Right? Because she was like, R2 or 3PO came over and was like, I'm sure he's fine, and then walked away, but there was no R2. So I think R2 was at the temple, and while Anakin was going crazy, R2 was like, yo, little guy, hop on, and did his rocket thing like he did with Yoda, right? And then put him in an escape pod that sent him somewhere safe to then get handled by whoever. So for me, I'm sticking to my old guns, and I still think that R2 is the conscience of Star Wars. And it would be fitting to see R2 save the day that way, as he did often.
Yeah. And it does almost look like Grogu is kind of hidden away in some sort of like.
And if you watch the season finale of Mando season 2, Grogu is kind of like when he sees Luke, but as soon as R2 shows up, he like opens up and he's like, my guy, and R2's like, my dude, you're still alive. Like they both have this immediate trust. And then
I think that is the biggest point.
Why did they put Barasafi's crest on the side of the hallway?
Boom.
I gotta jump. I gotta go cook dinner.
Hey, for sure, Obsession.
Yeah, man. I love you guys.
As soon as the hard questions come out,
we'll talk about it tomorrow.
Put it
on your list for tomorrow.
I got an answer if you want to hear it before you leave.
Yeah,
I know
you're going.
Okay,
all right, buddy.
He's going. So, my answer for you is that too close to your face now.
Yeah, because my
Okay, so my answer for you is that that's not her crest. That so basically the whole reason people thought that was because of this Wikipedia page that basically had it up as her crest, and
was that bad info?
it was bad info. And so not a lot of people have really caught on to this, but
I sure
bas-
haven't.
basically from what I heard, the page was taken down. Like I don't know, because I like Wikipedia. I think they do a good job, but sometimes kind of this stuff happens where
I feel like that's
and
more sketch that they took it down.
well, so the reason they took it down though, so hear me out on this. So in the Clone Wars concept art for that episode that had the symbol, it wasn't listed as Barriss Offee's symbol. It was just listed as like just a random symbol, a Jedi, like it's for the Jedi
Okay.
quarters. And it was on her room, like it was in her room. And the two doors or like kind of things we see it in could be also a Jedi kind of quarters place. So it could simply be that the crest is a symbol for the Jedi quarters or like their living quarters. Which also could
It
make
has
sense
her
with Grogu being
tattoos
there.
on it.
That is the thing though, because that is why people think it's more legitimate, but that's kind of what has been said. People don't really fully know, but in my opinion, it was kind of debunked. It could be Barriss Offee. I
I'm
think
not buying it, bro.
she was in prison at the time though too.
Dude, she could have gotten out. They could have put. I mean,
Who knows? You're right. You're
yeah.
right, but who knows? I personally, Barriss Offee will probably be like third or fourth on my list, and there's Mace Windu's not at the top, even though I would love to see Mace.
I like the concept of Mace. Since this whole thing, dude, from Jump Street, I've been like, it makes so much sense for them to bring Mace back, especially with Boba's arc.
Yeah,
everything that he's motivated by, 100%. Now that I've seen what Boba has become,
yeah,
I feel much less inclined to think we'd be getting a Mace thing.
Come on, man. I think Boba is about to just kick some ass in the finale, bro. I think all of the Boba fans that wanted to see him kicking butt the entire season, I think this finale, even though there's such little time to wrap this story up and everything, I think this finale is going to be an homage and what we wanted to see with Boba Fett the entire time. It's going to be more of that, him flying the Slave One and obliterating the Nikto gang, more of that kind of stuff where he's just absolutely murdering people, and that's what I'm expecting for this finale. But
no, I'm not off the Mace train. I'm just saying I'm a lot less likely to think that it could happen. But you know what's crazy for me when we're talking about this episode and what we're going to see Boba do?
Yeah.
It has changed for me from something like, dang, I hope I get to see that, to now it's like they have to do it. They've made it a necessity. Does that make sense though? Because of where his character's at.
I feel that way about the Cad Bane flashback, because I've been predicting that for so long. Like my channel basically freaking started with that. So like I've been saying this whole time since before he showed up in Bad Batch, like what if we see it in like either a resurgence of that unfinished Clone Wars arc? Like I thought that maybe we could see that in the Bad Batch, but then of course we saw Cad Bane and everything, but we didn't get Boba back. And then now that he's in the Book of Boba Fett, I feel like they have to give us that flashback to it and then actually have them battle in the finale. That would be so poetic and perfect.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too, man. I feel like they keep putting themselves in corners because, like, now for sure, Cad Bane and Boba have to fight. And
right?
If Cad Bane and
There's
Boba
so much
fight,
story to tell.
Like, that has to happen. And if Cad Bane and Boba fight, that Fennec has to be involved because Fennec fought Cad Bane in Bad Batch. And now I feel like I trust them to a degree, but I feel like they've done a lot of stuff that has they've really written themselves into kind of a corner. And now they got to fight their way out of it, as opposed to being like, man, I really hope this happens in the finale. It's like, if this stuff doesn't happen, like, it's going to fail. You know what I mean?
That's why I think
they
it
come
is
out of left
setting
field
up
with
for,
some crazy shit and just completely blow my mind anyway. So you never know.
Exactly. And I mean, I will say that we have heard from some decently reliable sources that this last episode is going to have some more cameos that are going to melt some faces. So
who's who?
So
Like, you're gonna
it's
bring in Han and Leia? Where does that fit? Like, Boba's got stuff to do. You know what I mean? Like,
that's what yeah, no, I hear you. But well, I think honestly, like I was saying before, the Beskar chainmail, I think Grogu and Luke are at least coming to either save the day and they're gonna end up getting caught in the
and
crossfire.
that's another thing. You bring them back, dude.
But well,
You
then
better have at
Han
least
would come
15,
with
20
them,
minutes of
right?
screen time with them, right?
Well, I imagine it's gonna be Luke just kicking ass, also. But
But why does Luke care about spice runners and crime lords? You know what I mean? The whole
yeah,
thing just
I feel
feels
for
weird.
sure. I feel like it has to be like an hour, 20-minute episode at this point with all the
Dude,
things we're
it's got to
expecting.
be a movie.
It
It's
has
got to
to
be a movie.
for
It's
sure.
crazy. It's crazy. Tomorrow night is gonna be nuts, dude.
It is gonna be wild. You're doing a watch party, yeah?
Yeah, I've been doing them this whole time. I was kind
Yeah.
of hesitant to because
Oh, they're a lot of fun, man.
I did them with Alex for the Bad Batch over at 80 edits, and then I
Okay.
did them for Visions. I did one for Visions because like two people
Well,
showed up and I hated it, and I was like, well, I'm never doing that again.
Yeah.
But these watch parties been blowing up, dude.
Yeah, it's been
Blowing up.
wild. It's been
Yeah, a
wild.
bunch of people are into it.
I
So
mean, well,
I'm excited.
the past 3 episodes I think have been a blast. So especially the
Yeah.
past 2. So it's hard for people not to get into it, and it's starting to blow up online and everything. So it's awesome to see the Star Wars fans and Star Wars hype back in the air, and it's not just
Well, dude,
Marvel
what's
for once.
cool is like when guys like you and I do watch parties, like as the episode is rolling, we're getting those you almost missed it takes. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So people get to see
Yeah.
that as it's going. You're like, oh, see that? Oh, up.
Yeah.
Just like over and over and over and over again.
Definitely. I love that meme that someone made where they actually
Yeah.
did that. That was
It's
funny.
like every 2 seconds. Man, we
What
got,
the heck?
and I mean, just like, when people are like, they're limited in what they can do. If you told me we were getting Order 66 flashbacks in the Book of Boba Fett at the beginning of the season,
Bro,
like that was
never
a
would have
leak,
thought that.
no, I would have unfollowed. Like, dude, get out of here. You talking some Mike Zero crazy? Like, I don't even want to be involved
Get
with
out
that.
of here. Get out of here.
And then boom. So,
So
I don't know, man.
are you still skeptical about Kenobi? How you feeling about it?
Oh, I'm nervous.
You're nervous?
I
Ha-
wouldn't
you heard
care
the
if it was. No,
not rumors, but like release dates? Have you heard
no.
well, so the latest release in terms of release dates, there was this dude that kind of posted something out saying that Kenobi was going to release at the end of May, and then he deleted it trying to say
Oh,
that
yeah.
you saw that. So
Yeah.
since then, I mean, there's been a whole bunch of scoopers and stuff that have been all corroborating and kind of saying the same thing, that it's probably coming out end of May, but we definitely have the time frame. It's anywhere probably unlikely on May 4th, but anywhere from May 4th to June 1st is likely the Kenobi release date.
That's close, dude.
Very close. And
I mean, like in terms of Star Wars, that's close.
Yeah, and Bad Batch is rumored to be season 2 is rumored to be on May 4th. So, which I don't know how I feel about that. But then again, Celebration is coming back half of May. So if Kenobi comes out alongside Celebration, man, I hope we can get tickets.
I'm still mad at Bad Batch.
What? Season 1?
I'm mad at Bad Batch because, dude,
Why?
that first episode, when I watched that first episode and they were integrating like the like prequel, like, oh my
man,
God,
season 2
I was
gonna
like,
be wild, man. Trust me.
I was so excited. And then it was just like night after night. I'm up.
Don't worry, man. Season
At
2 is gonna be wild.
12:45 a.m. Just like,
Hey, at least it was 20-minute episodes, though. I remember during Bad Batch, the episodes would end and my streams would end up being like an hour only instead of like, 2 or 2.5, depending on how good the.
that's a terrible
Book of
thought, bro.
Boba.
As the Star Wars YouTuber, you're like, well, at least it was quick.
No, but then I'm like, at least I get sleep. Like,
That's not what we should be like. You should be like,
No.
dude, we were on until 4
It's an
o'clock in the morning
animated, though.
talking about that.
it's better for my health. No, also
I
worse.
hope 2's
though.
cool. I think 2 could be cooler than 1 because we're done with like the introduction stage.
Yeah, and then
And we can
Mount
start getting
Tantus
into a
and all
little
the
bit.
setup.
Yeah,
I'm sure
we'll get a
still
little bit more character development.
We'll still get the Moochie episodes or whatever, but I remember my least favorite episode of the Bad Batch was the one with the Daveronian dude and the Pikes. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember even thinking at that time, like, I hate this episode now, but I know at some point this is gonna be probably important to season 2 or the future. And now the Pikes are still a big thing in the Book of Boba, and who knows, maybe Omega will even show up in the Book of Boba, although probably not till like season 2 if that's a thing.
I like that one, and honestly, seeing Fennec Shand whip up Cad, I wasn't super cool with that, but
Bruh, tell me about it. I mean, I'd already made my bet with Star Wars Santa. I was pooping my pants when he felt like she threw him off the railing. I totally forgot about his rocket boots. I was like, no,
no.
I was like, I lost the bet already. Like,
Sheev in slow mo, just like
dun, 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 dun.
It's like watching Gollum fall into freaking Mount Doom. I love it.
That's good.
Anyway,
yeah, bro. I'm hyped though. I think the future of Star Wars is bright. I'm pretty excited with what we've gotten the past couple of episodes in the Book of Boba. I mean, Mando season 3, I think it's gonna be freaking wild. There's just so much to talk about, and like even with the Book of Boba Fett winding down, this being the final episode of season 1 and everything, like I get, even though like we've had the dark times where there's nothing coming out, like honestly, I'm not worried right now because I'm like, there's so much to talk about. There's so much stuff that we've gotten from this. And then, as we said, Kenobi's around the corner, Bad Batch. Like, it's just a good time to be a Star Wars fan, man.
Yeah, I agree. And, I'm pumped. I'm excited. I'm excited to see what comes. I don't think I'm as excited saying like, damn, this is going to be the golden age of Star Wars. Like, I want to think that way. This is going to be another golden age of Star Wars.
You're still waiting to see, though, I think.
I'm skeptical, man. Yeah. I just I don't know yet. And the big freaking barometer for me is going to be these cameos and how they use these trilogy, I call them legacy characters, these legacy characters being used.
You're 100% right.
It scares me a little bit. But at the same time, Nikki and I were talking about this. It's like when she was saying the same thing, I'm nervous about it, and I feel like they didn't really earn being able to use these characters. And I'm like, they don't have
a good conversation, man.
But they don't really have another way to start this without starting somewhere. And so that's where we're at. They're starting somewhere with this. And so far I'm super cool with it, but we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, I think maybe that's where most of my optimism comes as a fan, is like, I know this is just the beginning of what they're trying to build up. And like, to your point where like you want a full story that's kind of finished, like in a way, like I'm going in with a long approach to most of these shows, if not all of them. So like, if the beginning isn't like what I was expecting right away, I'm kind of just like, all right, I'm grounded. I'm like, I'm here for the long run, like whatever they want to show me that's going to set up for the future. I trust them. I trust Dave and John in particular. So like, I'm not worried with any of the shows that they're handling or touching. And I don't think I'm that worried for Kenobi. Like as much as like, I totally understand like being skeptical and like how you're worried for it. Like I'm just like, whatever I get
for me, dude.
No, trust
Kenobi
me.
is big for me, bro.
I'm literally Vader's lair. Like, and if I don't see Vader's lair in it, like I'm gonna flip. But
oh, you're gonna get that.
Yeah, no, exactly.
That's
like,
but
I don't know if I'm as worried as other fans for it. And like, I grew up with the prequels and everything, so like, trust, like those are my characters. Like, they better do them justice. But like, I think with Hayden and Ewan being on board and everything, I love Deborah Chow as a director, so I'm going in with full trust. Like whatever they're gonna do with the characters, I'm set and ready to see what happens. And if it does suck, I'm not gonna be afraid to let it be known. But
I'm just like, dude, what a tangled web we weave. I'm scared for the people making the story, because now you've got original trilogy characters who were heavily invested in both of these guys. Yeah. And then you've got prequel trilogy characters who were heavily invested in both of these guys. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I don't envy these people making the show, because it's got a slap on every single cylinder, or it is going to be an absolute disaster for Lucasfilm, dude. The bad press that could come out of this, if it goes bad, is going to be a problem, dude.
Oh yeah. Which is why also like, I have trust in them, because I don't think they're going to allow it to suck with all the, reworking that I think has been done to the show over time. Like, I trust them. I think Ewan is happy with where
If
they're
it's
going from
good,
it. So yeah,
if it's
exactly.
good though,
Oh, exactly. The Beskar age.
It's a whole new trilogy to rewatch, you know?
It
6
is. It
hours of
really
freaking
is.
Star Wars just to rewatch and rewatch and
Exactly.
rewatch and
And that's
meme
the
and
best
quote.
part.
Yeah.
That's the best part is that it's really like 2 movies, 3 movies.
Mhm.
It's gonna be a blast, man. Well, thank you for being here. I loved having you and Obsession on today. Big shout out to them. Go follow Xwing and the Star Wars Obsession. Much love to y'all. And check out their streams, the Boomer Council. They do some awesome streams over there. Make sure to subscribe if you're new here. A big welcome to you guys. Smash that like button. I really do appreciate it. It helps the channel out a lot. Go check out our latest video. I did a kind of speculation video on Mace Windu returning potentially in the Book of Boba Fett, although now I'm starting to think Book of Boba Fett season 2. And yeah, I hope you guys have a good one. X-Wing, again, thank you for being here. We definitely got to chat up again sometime soon.
Yeah, you know it, brother.
Much love. I hope you guys have a good one, and may the force be with you always.
Pose.